the words still echo like whispers through Hawkins County. On June 15, 2021, 5-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells disappeared from her family's rural home in Rogersville, Tennessee, for more than 4 years. Investigators, volunteers, and strangers around the world have asked the same haunting question: what really happened to Summer Wells? Some believe she was lured away by a stranger. Others insist an accident was covered up. And now, with law enforcement rechecking a warehouse at 4:30 p.m., new speculation grows darker. Was Summer taken there, silenced, and then discarded in the waters nearby? If you scroll past the story without subscribing, Summer's name will fade into the endless internet void. Don't let her memory vanish twice. It's a chilling possibility no one wants to imagine, but one that continues to shadow this case. Summer was just 5 years old, an innocent child whose face would soon become a symbol of unanswered questions, of desperation, of a community still searching for truth. And tonight, we ask again, did the warehouse hold the secret of what happened to her that June evening, before her tiny body was carried to the river? Summer Moon Utah Wells, 5 years old, barefoot, blonde, full of restless energy. She twirled in church aisles, darted through the hills of Hawkins County, and clung to her brothers in a home where joy was fleeting and shadows were constant. To some, she was the light of that family. To others, she was a child trapped in circumstances she didn't deserve. June 15th, 2021, her last day seen alive. The morning looked ordinary. Summer's mother, Candace Wells, and grandmother, Candace Bly, worked outside near the flowers. Summer helped at least. That's one version of the story. In another version, she was inside, playing with her toys. By mid-afternoon, the accounts blur. Did Summer dash back into the house? Did she disappear into the basement? Or was she led quietly, deliberately into a vehicle that should never have been there? What we know is this: by 6:30 p.m., a call to 911 was made. Summer was reported missing, and what followed was chaos. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation called it one of the largest searches in state history. Helicopters swept the ridges, divers scoured the streams, hundreds of volunteers combed the thick Appalachian brush with dogs and flashlights, calling her name into the dark. But nothing. No footprints, no torn clothing, no child hiding in the woods. Summer had evaporated, and almost immediately so did the story. Contradictions began to bleed through the official timeline. Candace said she was outside planting flowers with Summer. Dawn said she came inside and went down to the basement. Other witnesses claimed to see her playing in the yard. The puzzle pieces didn't fit, no matter how hard investigators pressed them together. Neighbors whispered about suspicious vehicles, one a red pickup truck, another a faded sedan seen lurking on the back roads near Ben Hill Road. But those leads, they evaporated too. And here's where the unease festers. If Summer didn't vanish into the woods, if she didn't just walk away, then where did she go? Thousands searched for her in the forests, rivers, and back roads. If you won't even click subscribe, ask yourself, are you really helping keep her story alive? If not, write in the comments why you think ignoring this is acceptable. Some now believe the answer is chilling, that she may have been led or forced into one of the abandoned structures that dot Hawkins County, that a warehouse could have been her prison, her final stop before the river carried away what was left. It's not a theory the police confirm, but it's one the silence almost seems to encourage, because from the very first night, the contradictions weren't just mistakes in memory. They felt like cover, and in that cover, a little girl's life was erased. The evidence found in this warehouse may change everything. If you don't subscribe now, you may never know the next shocking update when it breaks. And if you choose not to, go into the comments and explain why you're okay staying in the dark. As the months dragged on, the investigation into Summer Wells' disappearance became less about answers and more about contradictions. Detectives circled back to the family's timeline again and again. Candace insisted Summer went inside. Dawn swore she went down to the basement. But when officers tried to line up their stories, details shifted like sand. too much didn't add up. Even the neighbors' accounts began to blur under scrutiny. Some claimed they saw a vehicle creeping near Ben Hill Road that afternoon. Others swore they noticed nothing unusual. Years later, those sightings are still whispered about online, but rarely confirmed in official reports. And then there was the warehouse. The structure investigators returned to at 4:30 p.m., years after Summer's disappearance, has become a focal point of speculation. Why recheck it now? Why not then? Some believe it was overlooked deliberately, others call it incompetence. Either way, it has forced the question, was the key to this case hidden in plain sight the entire time? From there, the theories fracture. One insists it was an accident, that something happened inside the Wells home, a fall, a mistake that spiraled into panic, that Summer never left the property alive, and the rest of the story is a desperate cover-up. Another is abduction, the stranger danger theory, Summer lured by someone passing through, maybe trafficked, maybe killed. It's a theory fueled by the suspicious vehicles and the dark reputation of rural Tennessee backroads. And then there's the theory no one wants to say out loud, but everyone thinks, foul play by someone close, that a trusted hand betrayed her, silencing her before she could even cry out. Online, the speculation only grows darker. Reddit threads dissect every minute of the timeline. YouTube channels analyze interviews frame by frame. Facebook groups turn neighbors into suspects overnight. Some sleuths have uncovered inconsistencies that even law enforcement couldn't ignore, but others spread wild claims blurring truth and lies until no one can tell the difference. And the toll on Hawkins County? It's crushing. The town is divided. Some defend the Wells family fiercely. Others whisper that they know more than they say. Candlelight vigils still flicker for Summer, even as hope fades. Exhaustion weighs heavy on a community that feels trapped in an endless loop of suspicion and grief. In the end, the theories keep multiplying, but the truth, it remains buried. Perhaps in the hills, perhaps in the river, or perhaps inside a warehouse that has always been more than just a building. In the years since June 15, 2021, the Wells family has lived under the weight of both grief and suspicion. Candace Wells has begged for her daughter's safe return. Don Wells has sworn to the public that he had nothing to do with Summer's disappearance. Their pleas echo through interviews and statements. Please, bring our baby back. But those words have never been answered. Instead, the questions have only multiplied. Why wasn't the warehouse thoroughly searched in the earliest days of the investigation? Was evidence overlooked or deliberately ignored? If something was found there at 4:30 p.m., who put it there? Who made sure it stayed hidden for so long? And perhaps the cruelest question of all, is this discovery a breakthrough, or just another dead end in a case defined by shadows? What we cannot forget is that Summer Wells was more than a mystery. She was a child whose smile lit up rooms, whose laughter carried across hillsides, who should be starting school, making friends, and living a life she never got the chance to have. Now I need to say something directly to you. If you feel even the smallest ache in your chest hearing Summer's name, if you believe her story deserves more than silence, then hit that subscribe button right now. Because if people stop talking about Summer, she vanishes a second time. And if you choose not to, then write it in the comments. Explain why you believe a little girl's stolen life isn't worth a single click. Let the world see your reason. The truth is this: the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation still needs answers. If you know anything, no matter how small, say it in the comments section. And to those of you watching, don't just consume this story. Share it, talk about it. Keep Summer's name alive, because the moment we let her fade from memory, we become part of the reason justice never comes. Summer Wells was 5 years old. She deserved a future. By telling her story, by refusing to let the silence win, we make sure she is never forgotten.